Namaste. My name is Janapati Das, and welcome again to Krishna Book Reading. Please accept my respects, and let me offer my respectful obeisances unto my spiritual teacher, Jagaguru Siddhaswarapananda Paramahamsa Srila Prabhupada, and His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and my most humble obeisances unto Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, whose mercy is boundless, a boundless ocean of mercy for all fallen souls like myself. So we are going to continue with our stories today, and we have another very exciting story that we're going to get into. So let me start now with some hearing and chanting Krishna's names, which is the most prime benediction for humanity in this day and age of Kali Yuga. In this most troublesome world, we need light for the darkness that is pervading. My spiritual master, Jagaguru, he has said that this world is a world full of darkness, but we can bring the light of Krishna by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, who gave us this process of hearing and chanting Krishna's names. So please join along. I'll do my best to sing well. My voice is a little tired right now, but Shri Bible. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, welcome again to another Krishna book reading. We are continuing on with our story. As you recall from the last video, if you haven't watched that yet, you can go back. If you haven't watched any of these videos, please go back. I have a long list of about half of the Krishna book done in videos so far. Please go back and watch these. Encourage your friends to watch them. You can share them with your friends. And if you haven't already, please like and subscribe to my channel. And the last story was 5 queens married by Krishna. Krishna actually had so many queens he was married to, but of course through his unimaginable opulence and power, he had expanded himself into so many different Krishnas, you know, as we'd seen in the story with where he was tying the 7 bowls that King Nagnajit required him to do to marry his daughter Satya. And of course, Krishna was able to expand himself into 7 Krishnas and easily do this job, which is a job that no prince had been able to achieve yet. So he married Satya, and he married different queens, and we had talked about the story. So if you haven't seen that yet, you can go back because it's a very exciting story. We've been one story of, you know, I always say it's a very exciting story. Krishna stories are all very exciting and very wonderful and very beautiful. Always ever fresh and ever eternal. So, but we are continuing another exciting story of Bhaumasura. And this is how Krishna gets another additional, I think, 16,108 queens to his marriage sort of like situation. And this is the story of the demon Bhaumasura, deliverance of the demon Bhaumasura. The story of Bhaumasura, how he kidnapped and made captive 16,000 princesses by collecting them from the palaces of various kings, and how he was killed by Krishna, the Supreme Lord of wonderful character, is all described by Shukadeva Goswami to King Parikshit in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So I've mentioned this before, but if you're not aware of this sort of scenario, the Srimad Bhagavatam, which the Krishna book is part of, the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, there are so many. It's just a wonderful scripture. I finished it like last year after reading it for almost like 20 years. It's long, but you read it, you want to read the purports, and you kind of want to take your time with it. It's not like a coffee table reading. It's something like Vedic scriptures. You can read one verse and just contemplate it and think about it. But in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Shukadeva Goswami was the son of the great sage Srila Vyasadeva. And that's another whole story of how he, his whole scene, he was a pure devotee of Krishna, and he was so pure that he just walked around naked. But even when he walked around, I think there's a scenario where even Srila Vyasadeva was in an area, and Shukadeva's son walked by of some women bathing, and when Srila Vyasadeva walked by, the women kind of dressed themselves, really hastily. But when Shukadeva Goswami had gone by, they didn't. And the reason they said was because Shukadeva Goswami is such a pure devotee, such an elevated devotee, that he has absolutely zero sex attraction. So it wasn't he just walked by and they knew that there was not, but that even Srila Vyasadeva didn't quite have the status of Shukadeva Goswami. So That's not to say or to criticize Srila Vyasadeva. He is the literary incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but it is a story that's there. Shukadeva Goswami was a great devotee, a great pure devotee, and King Parikshit was also a great devotee, the grandson of Maharaj Yudhisthira, the Pandava brother, who was also a great devotee. So many wonderful monarchy devotees. And of course, King Parikshit was, as we know, was cursed to be killed in 7 days and wanted to learn about the absolute truth from Sukadeva Goswami. So he did. And so that's why we oftentimes refer to this, because the Srimad Bhagavatam will will go through many, many stories, and will go through stories and stories, even stories that Shukadeva Goswami is telling King Parikshit about another situation where there's a spiritual master and a disciple telling a story, talking about a story, and it's a story and a story and a story. It goes back all the way to the sages of Naimisharanya, with Shuta Goswami addressing the great sages at this meeting of sages. So if you get an opportunity, Srimad Bhagavatam is translated by Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Generally, the demons are always against the demigods. This demon, Bhaumasura, having become very powerful, took by force the umbrella from the throne of the demigod Varuna. He also took the earrings of Aditi, the mother of the demigods. He conquered a portion of heavenly Mount Meru and occupied the portion which was known as Mani Parvata. The king of the heavenly planets, Indra, therefore came to Dwarka to complain about Bhaumasura before Lord Krishna. Hearing this complaint by Indra, the king of heaven, Lord Krishna, accompanied by his wife, Satyabhama, immediately started for the abode of Bhaumasura. Both of them rode on the back of Garuda, who flew them to Pragyotiyashpura, the capital city of Bhaumasura. It was not a very easy task to enter into the city of Pragyotiyashpura. So that's a big word. Because it was well fortified. First of all, there were 4 formidable forts guarding the 4 directions of the city, and it was well protected on all sides by formidable military strength. The next boundary was a water canal all around the city. In addition, the whole city was surrounded with electric wires. So yes, there was electricity, there was all these great technologies and weapons that, nuclear weapons and all these kinds of different things that, are already there. The next fortification was of anila, a gaseous substance. After this, there was a network of barbed wiring constructed by a demon of the name Mura. It appeared that the city was well protected even in terms of today's scientific advancements. So even Dwarka also had a very similar protection to protect, from people breaking in. When Krishna arrived, he broke all the forts to pieces with the stroke of his club, and the military strength scattered here and there by the constant onslaught of the arrows of Krishna. With his celebrated Sudarshan chakra, he counteracted the electrified boundary. The channels of water and the gaseous boundary were made null and void, and he cut to pieces the electrified network fabricated by the demon Mura. By the great vibration of his conch shell, he not only broke the hearts of great fighters, but also the fighting machines which were there. Similarly, the walls around the city were broken by his invincible club. The vibration of his conch shell sounded like the thunderbolt at the time of the dissolution of the whole cosmic situation. The demon Mura heard the vibration of the conch shell, awakened from his sleep, and personally came out to see what had happened. He had 5 heads and had long been living within the water. The Mura demon was as brilliant as the sun at the time of dissolution of the cosmic manifestation, and his temper was like blazing fire. The effulgence of his body was so dazzling that it was difficult to see him with open eyes. When he came out, he first of all took out his trident and began to rush the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The onslaught of the demon Mura was like a big snake attacking Garuda. His angry mood was very severe, and he appeared ready to devour the 3 worlds. First of all, he attacked the carrier of Krishna, Garuda, by whirling his trident, and he began to vibrate sounds through his 5 faces like the roaring of a lion. The roaring produced by the vibration of his mouth spread all over the atmosphere until it extended not all over the world, but also into outer space, up and down and out to the 10 directions. In this way, the sound was rumbling throughout the whole universe. Lord Krishna saw that the trident of the Mura demon was gradually rushing towards his carrier Garuda. Immediately, by a trick of his hand, he took 2 arrows and threw them toward the trident, cutting it to pieces. Simultaneously, using many arrows, he pierced the mouths of the demon Mura. When he saw himself outmaneuvered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Mura demon immediately began to strike him in great anger with his club. But Lord Krishna, with his own club, broke the club of Mura to pieces before it could reach him. The demon, bereft of his weapon, decided to attack Krishna with his strong arms, but by the aid of his Sudarshan chakra, Krishna immediately separated the demon's 5 heads from his body. The demon then fell into the water, just as the peak of a mountain falls into the ocean after being struck by the thunderbolt of Indra. This demon Mura had 7 sons named Tamra, Antariksha, Shravana, Vibha, Vashu, Nabha, Shvan, and Aruna. All of them became puffed up and vengeful because of the death of their father. In order to retaliate, they prepared in great anger to fight with Krishna. They equipped themselves with necessary weapons and situated Pita, another demon, to act as commander in the battle. By the order of Bhaumasura, all of them combinedly attacked Krishna. When they came before Krishna, they began to shower him with many kinds of weapons, like swords, clubs, lances, arrows, and tridents. But they did not know that the strength of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is unlimited and invincible. Demons usually don't. Krishna, with his arrows, cut all the weapons of the men of Bhaumasura into pieces, like grains. Krishna then threw his weapons, and Bhaumasura's commander-in-chief, Pita, along with his assistants, fell down, their military dress cut off, and their heads, legs, and arms and thighs severed. All of them were sent to the superintendent of death, Yamaraj. Bhaumasura was also known as Narakasura, for he happened to be the son of the earth personified. When he saw that all his soldiers, commanders, and fighters were killed on the battlefield by the strokes of the weapons of the personality of Godhead, he became exceedingly angry at the Lord. He then came out of the city with a great number of elephants who had been born and brought up on the seashore. All of them were highly intoxicated. When they came out, they saw that Lord Krishna and his wife were beautifully situated high in outer space, just like a blackish cloud about the sun, glittering with the light of electricity. The demon Bhaumasura immediately released a weapon called Shatagni, by which he could kill hundreds of warriors with one stroke, and simultaneously all his assistants also threw their respective weapons at the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Lord Krishna began to counteract all these weapons by releasing his feathered arrows. The result of this fight was that all the soldiers and commanders of Bhaumasura fell to the ground, their arms, legs, and heads separated from their trunks, and all their horses and elephants also fell with them. In this way, all the weapons released by Bhaumasura were cut to pieces by the reaction of the Lord's arrows. The Lord was fighting on the back of Garuda, and Garuda was also helping the Lord by striking the horses and the elephants with his wings and scratching their heads with his nails and sharpened beak. The elephants were feeling much pain by Garuda's attack on them, and they were all dispersing from the battlefield. Bhaumasura alone remained on the battlefield, and he engaged himself in fighting with Krishna. He saw that Krishna's carrier, Garuda, was causing great disturbance to his soldiers and elephants, and in great anger he struck Garuda with all his strength, which defied the strength of the thunderbolt. Fortunately, Garuda was not an ordinary bird, and he felt the strokes given by Bhaumasura, just as a great elephant feels the impact of a garland of flowers. Bhaumasura thus came to see that none of his tricks would act upon Krishna, and he became aware that all his attempts to kill Krishna would be frustrated. It's a very, the statement that actually said that when Krishna wants to kill someone, no one can save them, and if Krishna wants to save someone, no one can, if Krishna wants to kill someone, no one can save him, and if Krishna wants to save someone, no one can kill him. Yet he attempted for the last time, taking a trident in his hand to strike him. Krishna was so dexterous that before Bhaumasura could touch his trident, his head was cut off by the sharp Sudarshan chakra. His head, illuminated by earrings and helmets, fell down on the battlefield. On the occasion of Bhaumasura's being killed by Lord Krishna, all the demons' relatives began to scream in disappointment, and the saintly persons began to glorify the chivalrous activities of the Lord. Taking this opportunity, the denizens of the heavenly planets began to shower flowers on the Lord. At this time, the earth personified appeared before Lord Krishna and greeted him with a garland of Vajjayanti jewels. She also returned the dazzling earrings of Aditi, bedecked with jewels and gold. She also returned the umbrella of Varuna, along with another valuable jewel, which she presented to Krishna. After this, the earth personified began to offer her prayers to Krishna, the Supreme Personality and Master of the world, who was always worshipped by very exalted demigods. She fell down in obeisances and in great devotional ecstasy began to speak. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the Lord, who is always present with 4 kinds of symbols, namely his conch shell, disc, lotus, and club, and who is the Lord of all demigods. So Lord Vishnu in the Vaikuntha Loka, the spiritual world, Vaikuntha Loka, is represented as different incarnations, different expansions of Vishnu's, many expansions. And he has these things, these items they're talking about: conch shell, disc, lotus, and club. But in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it actually goes through different Vishnu expansions with different names: Rishikesh and Govinda, and I'm trying to think of some just right off the top of my head. It's in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, but there are many names, that Krishna has. So many different Vishnu names that represent different planets and Vaikuntha Lokas. But depending on which expansion it is, the 4 arms will be holding the conch shell, disc, lotus flower, and the trident in a different position. And so that's just an interesting thing I just recently learned. So his conch shell, disc, lotus, and club, who is the Lord of all demigods. Please accept my respectful obeisances unto you. My dear Lord, you are the super soul, and in order to satisfy the aspiration of your devotees, you descend on the earth in your various transcendental incarnations, which are just appropriate to the devotee's worshipful desire. Kindly accept my respectful obeisances. My dear Lord, the lotus flower is grown out of your navel, and you are always decorated with a garland of lotus flowers. So this, of course, is explaining about the lotus flower that is coming from Vishnu, Mahavishnu's navel in the material world, and from the lotus flower, Lord Brahma is there. So every universe has this expansion of Lord Brahma, who is the creator, demigod of the universe. Your eyes are always spread like the petals of the lotus flower, and therefore you are always pleasing to the eyes of others. Your lotus feet are so soft and delicate that they are always worshipped by your unalloyed devotees, and they pacify their lotus-like hearts. I therefore repeatedly offer my respectful obeisances unto you. I love the use of lotus in this. The lotus is such a special and pure flower that emanates. It comes up from the water and the mud. It is untouched. That's why sometimes the spiritual master is seen, as the lotus-like, the lotus flower that is untouched, or even Vedic knowledge is like that because it's purified, it's separated from the material energy. You possess all kinds of religions, fame, property, knowledge, and renunciation. You are the shelter of all five opulences. Although you are all-pervading, you have nevertheless appeared as the son of Vasudeva. Please, therefore, accept my respectful obeisances. You are the original Supreme Personality of God and the supreme cause of all causes. Only your lordship is the reservoir of all knowledge. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Personally, you are unborn. Still, you are the father of the whole cosmic manifestation. So that term, ajam, in Sanskrit means unborn. Krishna is not born. Neither is the living entity for that matter, but in the sense of being conditioned by the material energy, we take on a birth. We experience birth. But Krishna is never born, even though he appears to be born in the material world in different situations. But he is unborn. He is Ajam. He is the father of the whole cosmic manifestation. You are the reservoir and the shelter of all kinds of energies. So I brought this up last talk about the reservoir. Krishna is the reservoir and the shelter of all kinds of energies. He's the reservoir of all mercy, all opulence. And when we talk about reservoir, this reservoir, of course, with Krishna has no boundaries. There are no boundaries to this reservoir, eternal. The manifestive appearance of this world is caused by you, and you are both the cause and the effect of this cosmic manifestation. Please, therefore, accept my respectful obeisances. My dear Lord, as for the three gods, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, they are not independent of you. Where there is necessity of creating this cosmic manifestation, you create your passionate appearance of Brahma. And when you want to maintain this cosmic manifestation, you expand yourself as Lord Vishnu, the reservoir of all goodness. Similarly, you appear as Lord Shiva, master of the modes of ignorance, and thus dissolve the whole creation. So you can see this in the material elements. There's always a creation, a maintenance, and a dissolving or a death of something. And in the case of the cosmic manifestation, this is represented by the creative, the mode of passion. It's Lord Brahma, the creator, demigod of this universe. And Lord Vishnu, the expansion of Krishna, also maintains the situation. And then Lord Shiva will dissolve, which is represented in the mode of ignorance, because in the mode of ignorance is usually in some kind of element of destruction, right? Something breaking down, of death, and a lot of personal emotions like ignorance and sloth and sleep and darkness, basically. So, which it plays its role, in the material world. Similarly, you appear as Lord Shiva in the master of the modes of ignorance, and thus dissolve the whole creation. Your transcendental position is always maintained in spite of creating these three modes of material nature. You are never entangled like the ordinary living entities with these modes of material nature. Actually, my Lord, you are the material nature. You are the Father of the universe, and you are the eternal time that has caused the combination of nature and the material creator. So there is a statement in the Bhagavad Gita which Krishna, explains how he is like the string like a string of pearls. The material creation rests upon him. So the Krishna's energies are him. They're his energies. But that doesn't mean that he's within that or he's under the effect of the material energy. Similarly, if you pick up a rock, and you can't just say that rock is Krishna, but it is Krishna's energy and it belongs to Krishna. So therefore it is Krishna. But we can't just say that rock is Krishna, or sometimes a lot of people will say that, we I am God, you are God, the energy, everything is God, right? But that's true in a sense that it's his energy, but it's not true that it's actually that we can just say that we are the individual Jivatmas are God. This is a form of Mayavadi philosophy that's unfortunately taught quite a bit, but it's not right, not correct. Still, you are always transcendental to all these material activities. My dear Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, I know that earth, water, fire, air, sky, the five sense objects, mind, the senses, and the deities, and their deities, egotism, as well as the total material energy, everything animate and inanimate in this phenomenal world is resting upon you. So there's that statement from like the pearls on a thread. Since everything is produced of you, nothing can be separated from you. Yet, since you are transcendently situated, neither can anything materially be identified with your personality. Everything is, therefore, simultaneously one and different from you. And the philosophers who try to separate everything from you are certainly mistaken in their viewpoint. My dear Lord, may I inform you that this boy, whose name is Bhagadatta, is the son of my son, Bhaumasura. He has been very much affected by the ghastly situation created by the death of his father and has become very much confused, being afraid of the present situation. I have therefore brought him to surrender unto your lotus feet. I request your lordship to give shelter to this boy and bless him with your lotus feet. I am bringing him to you so that he may become relieved from the reactions of all the sinful activities of his father. When Lord Krishna heard the prayers of Mother Earth, he immediately assured her of immunity from all fearful situations. He said to Bhagadatta, don't be afraid. Now, Krishna is always saying that don't be afraid to his devotees. Do not fear. I will give you all protection. That's what he says in the Bhagavad Gita, 1866, I think. He says, just abandon all varieties of religious principles and surrender unto me. I will give you all protection from sinful reactions. Do not fear. So here again, he's saying, don't be afraid. Krishna protects his devotees. Then he entered the palace of Bhaumasura, which was equipped with all kinds of opulences. In the palace of Bhaumasura, Lord Krishna saw 16,100 young princesses who had been kidnapped and held captive there. When the princesses saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, enter the palace, they immediately became captivated by the beauty of the Lord and prayed for his causeless mercy. Within their minds, they decided to accept Lord Krishna as their husband without any hesitation. Each one of them began to pray to Providence that Krishna might become her husband. Sincerely and seriously, they offered their hearts to the lotus feet of Krishna with an unalloyed devotional attitude. As a supersoul in everyone's heart, Krishna could understand their uncontaminated desire, and he agreed to accept them as his wives. This is a beautiful example of the Jivatma's possibility to develop an unalloyed attachment to Krishna. And Krishna, understanding the hearts of all living entities, gives them what they wish, He knows what's in their heart. If they want a certain amount of surrender and he will give it that much, It's kind of like all or nothing, all or something, It's like, thus he arranged for suitable dresses and ornaments for them, and each of them, seated on a palanquin, was dispatched to Dwarka city. Krishna also collected unlimited wealth from the palace, along with chariots, horses, jewels, and treasure. He took from the palace 50 white elephants, each with 4 tusks, and all of them were dispatched to Dwarka. After this incident, Lord Krishna and Satyabhama entered Amaravati, the capital city of the heavenly planet, and they immediately entered the palace of King Indra and his wife Sachi Devi, who welcomed them. Krishna then presented Indra with the earrings of Aditi. When Krishna and Satyabhama were returning from the capital city of Indra, Satyabhama remembered Krishna's promise to give her the plant of the Parijata flower. It's great. I remember the story. Taking the opportunity of having come to the heavenly kingdom, she plucked a Parijata plant and kept it on the back of Garuda. Once Narada took a Parijata flower and presented it to Krishna's senior wife, Sri Rukmini Devi. On account of this, Satyabhama developed an inferiority complex. She also wanted a flower from Krishna. Like women, they're just like, oh, I want what your other wife got. But with Krishna's wife, this is very wonderful. Krishna could understand the competitive womanly nature of his co-wives, and he smiled. He immediately asked Satyabhama, "Why are you asking for only one flower? I would like to give you a whole tree of Parijata flowers." Actually, Krishna had purposely taken his wife Satyabhama with him so she could collect the Parijata with her own hand. But the denizens of the heavenly planet, including Indra, became very irritated. It's like, Indra, what's up with Indra? It's like he's always forgetting about Krishna and, getting envious of Krishna, with inundating Vrindavan and then Krishna goes through this whole problem of getting his wife's the earrings back for his wife, because I'm sure his wife was like irritated, like, why can't you get my earrings back? You can't get my earrings back. Indra's like, oh, Krishna, can you please help me? And then it's like he gets irritated when Krishna decides to take the Parijata tree. Without their permission, Satyabhama had plucked a Parijata plant, which is not to be found on the earth planet. Indra, along with other demigods, offered opposition to Krishna and Satyabhama for taking away the plant, but in order to please his favorite wife, Satyabhama, Krishna became determined and adamant. So there was a fight between the demigods and Krishna. As usual, Krishna came out victorious, and he triumphantly brought the Parijata plant, chosen by his wife, to this earthly planet, to Dwarka. After this, the plant was installed in the palace garden of Satyabhama. On account of this extraordinary tree, the garden house of Satyabhama became extraordinarily beautiful. As the Parijata plant came down to the earthly planet, the fragrance of the flower also came down, and the celestial swans also migrated to this earth in search of its fragrance and honey. King Indra's behavior toward Krishna was not very much appreciated by great sages like Shukadev Goswami. Out of his causeless mercy, Krishna had gone to the heavenly kingdom, Amaravati, to present King Indra with his mother's earrings, which had been lost to Bhaumasura, and Indra had been very glad to receive them. But when a flower plant from the heavenly kingdom was taken by Krishna, Indra offered to fight with him. This was a self-interest on the part of Indra. He offered his prayer, tipping down his head to the lotus feet of Krishna, but as soon as his purpose was served, he became a different creature. It's like with Indra, man. He's always screwing up. This is the way of the dealings of materialistic men. Materialistic men are always interested in their own profit. For this purpose, they can offer any kind of respect to anyone, but when their personal interest is over, they are no longer friends. Selfish nature is not only found among the richer class of men on this planet, but is present even in personalities like Indra and other demigods. Too much wealth makes a man selfish. A selfish man is not prepared to take to Krishna consciousness and is condemned by great devotees like Shukadev Goswami. In other words, possession of too many worldly riches is a disqualification for advancement in Krishna consciousness. So, yeah, this idea that, where you're diverted from your focus to Krishna because of the money and the desire to accumulate wealth. That's why Rupa Goswami has always said that one should not try to over-endeavor for material goods more than what's already allotted to him. Because of this very reason, because it takes you away from Krishna. It's almost like gambling, That's why we don't gamble, because we're focused on making money and trying to get enjoyment. And there are exceptions to this, and we will read a story, of course, about Sudama Brahman, who was hesitant to ask for wealth from Krishna, but Krishna gave it to him anyway because he knew that he was an unalloyed devotee, focused completely on Krishna, and that the money was not agitating him to try to have material enjoyment, but he would use it in the service of Krishna, completely unattached. So great devotees are like this. There's many, many cases of great kings who just, when it was time, they're done with their kingly duties and they wanted to go off to the forest to meditate on Krishna, they left everything behind. They just went on a loincloth, left all their wealth and all their wives and children and all their millions and billions of dollars that they had just behind. It's just like, okay, I'm done. That's it. After defeating Indra, Krishna arranged to marry the 16,100 girls brought from the custody of Bhaumasura. By expanding himself in 16,100 forms, he simultaneously married them all in different palaces in one auspicious moment. So he thus established the truth that Krishna and no one else is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There is nothing impossible for Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is all-powerful, omnipresent, and imperishable. And as such, there is nothing wonderful in this pastime. All the palaces of the more than 16,000 queens of Krishna were full with suitable gardens, furniture, and other paraphernalia, of which there is no parallel in this world. There is no exaggeration in this story from Srimad Bhagavatam. The queens of Krishna were all expansions of the goddess of fortune, Lakshmiji. Krishna used to live with them in different palaces, and he treated them in exactly the same way as an ordinary man treats his wife. We should always remember that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, was playing exactly like a human being, and although he showed his extraordinary opulences by simultaneously marrying more than 16,000 wives in more than 16,000 palaces, he behaved with them just like an ordinary man, and he strictly followed the relationship between husband and wife required in ordinary homes. Therefore, it is very difficult to understand the characteristics of the Supreme Brahman, the personality of Godhead. Even demigods like Brahma and others are unable to probe into the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. The wives of Krishna were so fortunate that they got the Supreme Personality of Godhead as their husband, although their husband personally was unknown even to the demigods like Brahma. In their dealings as husband and wife, Krishna and his queens would smile, talk, joke, embrace, and so on. And their conjugal relationship ever increasingly developed. In this way, both Krishna and the queens enjoyed transcendental happiness in their household life. Although each and every queen had thousands of maidservants engaged for her service, the queens were all personally attentive in serving Krishna. Each one of them used to receive Krishna personally when he entered the palace. They engaged in getting him seated on a nice couch, presenting him with all kinds of worshipable paraphernalia, washing his lotus feet with Ganges water, offering him betel nuts, and massaging his legs. In this way, they were giving him relief from the fatigue of being away from home. They saw to fanning him nicely, offering him fragrant essential floral oil, decorating him with flower garlands, dressing his hair, asking him to lie down to take rest, bathing him personally, and feeding him nice, palatable dishes. All these things were done by each queen herself. They did not wait for the maidservants. In other words, Krishna and his different queens displayed on this earth an ideal household life. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 2nd volume, 4th chapter of Krishna, Deliverance of the demon Bhaumasura. Awesome story. So next time we're going to have another wonderful story that talks between Krishna and Rukmini. And so for those of you who know this story, it's really awesome. So we'll look forward to that next time. And for now, we're going to chant some more. Thank you very much. Adibon, Nitagor, Adibon, Adibon. Thank you very much for joining in today. We will see you next time. Aloha, namaste.